Hi, I'm Lindsay, National Makeup Artist for Prep Cosmetics and ShopPrep.com. Today I get to go over some new tips, tricks, and techniques to show you how to get the most out of your makeup. We're going to go over some tips for how to use bronzer appropriately. If you're going to do a sunless bronzer, make sure that you exfoliate your skin and then either wear gloves or make sure that you wash your hands every 5 minutes so that you don't tint your hands. The sunless bronzer that I have today is in a foam formula. So you're going to pump some of that out and then you're going to massage that between your hands and then apply it to your face and to your neck. A lot of times wearing a sunless tanner on your face and neck is appropriate even if you don't do it all over your body, just because we wash our faces and we tend to slough off a lot more skin and thus color on the face and neck area. Also, another way that you can add bronzer during the day is after you do your foundation, or if you're going to use tinted moisturizer, you can blend a little bit of bronzing gel into your foundation or into your moisturizer and just add that on all over the face and the neck. It's just a thin gel that has a little bit of tint to it. I've applied a little bit of the translucent blotting gel onto my hand. I've also applied a little bit of foundation and a little bit of moisturizer. You can gently take a little bit of this and blend this into your foundation. It'll start to disappear, but then once you add it onto the face, it will come up and add a little bit more bronze. You can also add it directly into your moisturizer and apply it all over the face before you do your foundation. This will just help to add a nice warm glow to your base. After you've started with those steps, you can apply your foundation like regular. Now I'm going to show you how to use regular powder bronzer and cream bronzer to add a little bit more glow to the face. You're going to start off with a matte bronzer in a lighter color. You want to make sure that you don't go too dark right away. You're going to add a little bit of this to your brush, swirl back and forth, and then tap it out. Depending on your skin tone, this is how you pick your bronzer. You want to make sure that your bronzer is a skin tone color and naturally a little bit warmer than your tone. You can add darker colors later, but you want to make sure that you usually start with a matte color that's warm, not really dark. So you're going to start in the contour of the cheek, gently brushing a little bit of color there, and you're going to go in a C motion around your eye socket, naturally where the light would hit. You also want to go down the center of the face on the bridge of the nose, underneath your chin, and around your jawline. These are all the natural places where the sun would hit, and you're accentuating the contours of the face. You want to make sure that you don't apply bronzer all over the face. What gives the appearance of a warmer complexion is the contrast between the light areas and the dark areas. So if you apply bronzer all over the face, you just look like your face is one color and then the rest of you is another color. You also want to make sure that you extend the bronzer from underneath your chin down your neck a little bit. And if you're wearing a shirt that exposes this area, sometimes a little bit on the shoulders or underneath the collarbone, you just want to make sure that you bring those highlights and lowlights all over the skin where you can see it. After you've applied your first layer of regular matte bronzer, you can choose to go back in with a darker color to contour more, or you can choose to go back in with a shimmered color to add a little bit more highlighting bronzer. I'm going to do contour first just to show you how. We're going to add a little bit of a darker bronzer color, still in matte, to my brush. Then we're going to tap that off. I'm going to start and I'm going to find the hollow of my cheeks. So if you gently suck your cheeks in, it's going to be right underneath your cheekbone. This is going to give you the appearance of a higher cheekbone if you add a darker color in there. So I'm going to gently etch a soft line. You want to make sure that it doesn't look like a straight line. You want to make sure that it's softly blended. So I'm going to do that on both sides. And then if it is too dark, you can go back in with another fluffy brush that doesn't have any pigment on it, and you can just blend to make sure that that line softens out. You can also choose to do this on the forehead area, in the line right above the arch of the brow, and then sideways where the brow angles down. This is just naturally highlighting those formations in the face. You can also go a little bit on your chin. Then you want to make sure that underneath your chin and up to the side of your ear, that jawline is darkened a little bit. This will diminish the appearance of the neck underneath, and it'll give you a strong jawline. Now I'm going to show you how to go back in and add a little bit of shimmered bronzer to your already matte bronzer look. I have both kinds of shimmered bronzer here, a solid pigmented one and then a multi-tonal one. Either one will work fine. You're going to add a little bit of this to your fan brush and then gently tap that out. You're going to go back over, but you want to make sure that your concentrating the shimmer in an area that's close to the highlight area. So we're going to go on the top of that line that you've created in your contour and then towards the inside of that circle. You want to make sure that you're not adding shimmer all over the face, just a little bit to enhance that bronzed color. Now I'm going to show you how to apply a little bit of shimmered bronzer to your matte bronzer look. I have both kinds of shimmered bronzer here, both a straight pigmented shimmered bronzer and a multi-tonal one. Either one will do the job. Add a little bit of this color to your fan brush and then tap out. We're going to add a little bit of the shimmered bronzer color to just accentuate the bronzer that you've already added. You want to make sure that you're not covering the entire areas of the bronzer that you've already put on, just to add a little bit. You're going to go on top of these lines and just in the inside of that circle that you've created. And then also add this underneath the jawline. And then you can do a very thin line down the center of the face. You want to make sure that your entire face isn't shimmery, so a little bit of shimmer goes a long way. I'm also going to show you how to use either a cream or gel bronzer like you would a powdered one. On my hand I both have the cream bronzing and a translucent gel bronzer. You can use these pretty much like a powder, just either use your fingers or a synthetic brush. I'm going to show you how to do both. You're going to add a little bit of the cream bronzer onto your brush, and then you're just gently going to go in that contour area like you would with your powder. You're just going to have to soften out with your brush. So you'll add a little bit of that color, and then you'll gently blend back and forth to make sure that you don't see that line with your brush. You want to make sure that anytime you're working with a cream product, you use a synthetic brush. I've added a little bit of the translucent gel to my finger, and I'm just going to show you how to add that onto the face. It's going to be in the same spots that you would your powder. It's just going to be in that gel formula. Using your finger helps to warm it up into the skin. It'll blend in and look a little bit more natural. So if you do decide to use it with a brush, I usually like to warm my hands up then and just tap them both in. You want to make sure that it's nice and blended and soft so it doesn't stand out like a harsh line. The final step to executing bronzer properly is a step that a lot of people forget. The reason that bronzer makes your face look a little bit more tan or warmer in complexion is that it contrasts with those light areas. So we want to also help out those light areas after you've added your bronzer. So I have both a shimmering skin perfector on my hand and a highlighter. I'm going to show you how to use both to highlight those extra areas. I'm going to add a little bit to my brush. Again, since it's a cream product, you want to make sure that you're using a synthetic brush. And then I'm just going to add to the highlight areas. So right on top of the cheekbone and around the brow, keeping that seam motion that we did with the bronzer, but just a little bit tighter, so that you're not overlapping over the bronzer. You're just adding a highlight or a lighter color in contrast to where you've put the bronzer. You're going to add also a little bit around the nose on the outside of the line that you've added. You can highlight on the inside of the lines that you've added on the forehead. You can also add on the outside of the chin or right on top of the line that you've drawn at your jawline. Then you're just going to take your hands and you're going to gently tap that in to make sure that it looks nice and natural. And the contrast between this light highlight that's going to catch the light and then your shimmered bronzer and matte bronzer that will add darkness to the face is going to give you a really perfect bronzer look.